Anna, and I lead the Sensing for Justice project, in short, SensJus. SensJus researches how ordinary people can gather evidence to demonstrate environmental harms in court. We also inquire how citizens gather evidence can be used to mediate environmental conflicts, and we advocate for the right of every person to contribute environmental data.
The Rights for Ecosystem Services Marie Curie Fellowship, as well as the Home Green project on the rights to food sovereignty in Sicily, they both focus on the recognition of rights to local communities that have engaged or would like to engage in sustainable activities that contribute to the conservation of the environment. The bottom line of both projects is the creation of a rights framework that doesn't necessarily need to be fundamental rights to sustain such communities that have preserved such activities through histories or that want to engage in new activities that can actually contribute to the conservation of the environment.
In Project ESAIRE, I looked at how projects that describe themselves as doing citizen science, how they engage with individuals and communities and collaborate with them doing fieldwork for scientific purposes. Specifically, I focused on the topic of air quality.
SensJus uses three research approaches. We start from legal review to identify suitable case studies. Second, we actually go to fieldwork to observe the civic sentinels in action, like in this case where I gathered a water sample together with the sentinel to identify whether this water stream was polluting the lake. We then disseminate our research results together with the people engaged in monitoring to elicit further research data.
The two projects combine different theoretical disciplines together with fieldwork and stakeholders' engagement. So on one side, the project combined political philosophy, legal theory, international environmental law, international human rights law. And on the other side, the first project required semi-structured interviews with the members of a local community that was selected and that answered to questions about a sustainable activity that had been done in the past in their island. While the second project requires our actual engagement with local enterprises, so economic actors and local research centers.
I did observations of participants doing fieldwork, for instance, using these diffusion tubes to collect information about air quality. Also, I organized participatory workshops with different stakeholders. But very interestingly, I was observing how different projects engaged individuals and communities in this fieldwork for collecting air quality data.
I believe in engaged research because only through fieldwork we can really experience the daily life and struggles of our research subjects, and we can truly valorize their perspective on our research topics. Furthermore, while being on the field, we become as vulnerable as our research subjects, and this can deconstruct some of the hierarchies and power structures that are implicit in our position as researchers.
The two projects ground on the idea that theoretical research is fundamental, but that in certain cases there is the need to actually test the frameworks that are theoretically developed in the field. So engaging with the real addressee of the research and the real challenges that can be encountered in everyday life and that might be completely missed out by a solely theoretical approach.
One of the challenges that I encountered while performing fieldwork and engaged research is that institutional structures funding schemes do not conceive the open-ended and varying nature of field-based research. Second, ethical review board rightly requires procedures that at times are difficult to be translated to our research participants. And so, for example, we created illustrated consent forms.
Going to the field is never a riskless enterprise, neither for the researcher nor for the subjects that are going to be interviewed. So on one side, the researcher will never know well in advance if she or he is actually going to find what he or she needs. Will he find people willing to be interviewed? Will she find the information needed for the research? On the other side, the very presence of a researcher in a community, especially if it's a small community, can actually jeopardize local equilibrium by asking, for example, the wrong question or saying the wrong thing or engaging in the wrong activity.
One of the challenges of conducting research that engages communities and individuals is building the relationship between the professional scientists and institutions with the non-professional collaborators. Because it doesn't follow the usual bureaucratic procedures, the informed consent process as it usually is done, and it should place enough focus on giving back to the community.
I propose to innovate the way we perform research. First, by sensing our research results together with my participants. For example, engaging them in sensorial walks or swimming in the lake, which is why now I'm wearing a wetsuit, to really feel what does it mean to harm our natural environment. Second, we used art-based research methods to elicit research results and to stimulate a critical but also creative thinking around this research topic.
Innovation can only come from being in the position and being willing to engage in research with individuals or local communities only when one actually holds the sufficient amount of preparation. So the classic pre-field work requirements and preparation in university requires the creation of lengthy forms with technical jargon, with very unfriendly information that need to be handed to the interviewees, and that in certain cases even need to be signed by them. While instead it would actually be much more useful to focus on the preparation of the researcher to actually be able to know and to engage with local issues and to walk on tiptoes when asking questions.
I have seen 3 levels of innovations when doing research that engages communities and individuals. One is the institutional level, where I have seen the creation of spin-offs or science shops that were created by scientific institutions to provide some sort of scientific consultancy to the communities. At the level of informed consent, they have created also collaboration agreements instead. At the level of giving back to the community, they use participatory processes or co-creation workshops to decide how the outcomes of the research are going to be used for the benefit of the community.